What happens when two powerhouse vocalists sit down for what should be a simple interview, but instead, years of unspoken tension explode into one of the most uncomfortable moments in daytime television history? Before we get into this absolute chaos, make sure you subscribe and drop a comment below telling me whose side you're on after hearing this whole story. Because trust me, you're going to have opinions. So Kelly Clarkson's show has become this safe space for celebrities, right? It's all positivity, singing, crying happy tears, the whole thing. Ledisi comes on to promote her new album, and at first, everything seems normal. Kelly does her usual warm welcome. The audience is clapping, Ledisi is smiling. But if you watch closely, you can see something in Ledisi's eyes. Something tight, something waiting. Kelly starts off easy. She's talking about Ledisi's new music, asking about the creative process, complimenting her voice. Standard stuff. Ledisi is giving good answers, professional, poised. Then Kelly says something that shifts the entire energy in the room. Kelly leans forward with that trademark enthusiasm and goes, "You know, I have to say, your voice has this incredible jazz quality to it. It reminds me so much of the classic singers, like you were born in the wrong era." You know, Ledisi's smile doesn't quite reach her eyes anymore. She nods slowly and responds, "Well, I appreciate that, but I'm very much a singer of this era. I think what you might be hearing is technique, training, soul. That's not about being from a different time, that's about being serious about the craft." There's this tiny moment of silence. Kelly laughs, but it sounds a little forced. "Oh no, totally. I just meant like, you have that timeless quality." Ledisi shifts in her seat. "Timeless is different from saying I belong in another era. Kelly, I'm a contemporary artist. I innovate. I don't just recreate the past." The audience is still smiling because they haven't caught on yet that this isn't playful banter. This is something else. Kelly tries to recover, moving on to ask about Ledisi's Grammy nominations over the years. But here's where it gets interesting, because Kelly brings up something that everyone who knows Ledisi's career has been tiptoeing around for years. Kelly says, "You've had so many nominations, and I know how that feels, to be nominated and not win, but you've handled it with such grace. I remember when Selma came out and there was all that discussion about the soundtrack." Ledisi's face changes, not dramatically, but if you know, you know. She takes a breath and says very carefully, "You mean when I recorded the songs for the film and then didn't get to perform them in the movie?" Kelly nods, still trying to keep it light. "Yeah, but I mean, Beyoncé's performance at the Grammys was incredible though, right? That had to be, I don't know, bittersweet. And there it is. The thing nobody talks about directly. Ledisi recorded those songs for the Selma film. She did the work. Then, at the Grammys, Beyoncé performed them in what became this massive, iconic moment. And Ledisi had to sit there and watch and smile. And be gracious because that's what you do in this industry if you want to keep working." Ledisi sits back, and her voice gets quieter, which somehow makes it more powerful. "Kelly, I'm going to be real with you. That situation taught me a lot about this industry. It taught me about my value and how easily people can overlook your contributions when someone more famous is available. Was Beyoncé's performance beautiful? Of course. Is she talented? Absolutely. But let me ask you something. Since we're here talking about it, do you think if the roles were reversed, if I had performed songs she recorded, that the conversation would be the same?" Kelly looks genuinely caught off guard. She opens her mouth, closes it, then tries to laugh it off. "I mean, I think people were just excited to see such a big artist tackle such important material." Ledisi leans forward now. "Important material that I recorded, that I sang first, that I poured my heart into, and I didn't even get a thank you. Just people telling me I should be grateful for the exposure, as if I'm some newcomer who should be happy to be in the same room." The audience has gone quiet now. This isn't fun anymore. This is uncomfortable. Kelly tries to redirect. "I hear what you're saying, and I think your point about recognition is totally valid. You are so talented, Ledisi. Everyone knows that, but Ledisi isn't letting it go. Do they though? Because here's what I've noticed. When we talk about the greatest vocalists, my name comes up in certain circles, but I'm never in that mainstream conversation. And I've been doing this for over 2 decades. I've been nominated for 14 Grammys. 14, but ask someone on the street to name a Ledisi song, and most can't. Why do you think that is?" Kelly looks like she wants to be anywhere but in this chair right now. "I think the music industry is complicated. There are so many factors. Marketing, timing, the way labels push certain artists." Ledisi nods. "Right. And genre, let's talk about genre. I get put in the jazz category, the R&B category, but when I try to cross over, when I try to do what you do, what other artists do, suddenly, I'm too niche. I'm to this, to that. But we both know what to really means." Kelly shifts uncomfortably. "I don't think I follow." Ledisi's voice is steady, controlled, but there's fire behind it. "You follow perfectly. When a black woman has a powerful voice, has range, has soul, she gets put in a box. She gets called inspirational. She gets compared to the legends, but she doesn't get the same opportunities. She doesn't get the pop crossover. She doesn't get the mainstream acceptance. Unless she fits a very specific mold, Kelly tries to push back gently. I mean, there are plenty of successful black women in pop music. Though, I think that's changing. And this is where Ledisi's professionalism starts to crack. Not in a yelling way, but in a tired way. She laughs, but there's no humor in it. Plenty. Kelly, name them. And then tell me how many of them had to completely change their sound, their image, their entire presentation to get there. Tell me how many of them are my age and still getting those opportunities. This industry loves a young, black woman they can mold. But a black woman in her 40s who's been singing her whole life, who knows her worth, who won't compromise. That woman gets patted on the head and told she's an inspiration. The tension is thick now. Kelly is trying to maintain her host composure, but you can see she's struggling. I think you're incredibly successful though, Ledisi. You have a loyal fan base. You tours. You make the music you want to make. Ledisi cuts her off. Successful on whose terms? I make a fraction of what artists with half my talent make. I can't get a song on mainstream radio to save my life. And when I point this out, I'm told I'm bitter. I'm told I should be grateful. Grateful for what? For being talented and still invisible? Kelly takes a deep breath, and you can see her trying to figure out how to navigate this. She's known for being empathetic, for connecting with her guests. But this is different. This is raw. I hear your frustration. I really do. And I think these are important conversations to have about representation and opportunity in the industry. Ledisi shakes her head. But that's just it. Kelly, you hear my frustration like it's just emotion, like it's just feelings. This isn't frustration. This is fact. This is data. This is my lived experience and the lived experience of countless artists who look like me. And every time we bring it up, it gets turned into us being emotional or difficult instead of people actually examining the system. Kelly looks directly at her now. Okay, so what would you want me to say? What's the right response here? And Ledisi pauses. She looks at Kelly for a long moment. I want you to acknowledge it. Not just hear it, acknowledge it. Say that yes, there is a different standard. Say that yes, black women in this industry have to work twice as hard for half the recognition. Say that the Selma situation was messed up and that I had every right to feel some kind of way about it. Don't give me the diplomatic answer. Give me the honest one. The audience is dead silent. Kelly looks conflicted, like she's weighing what to say next very carefully. Finally, she speaks. I think there are absolutely inequalities in the industry. I think representation matters. I think your talent deserves more recognition than it gets. Ledisi waits. But Kelly hesitates. But I also think that success looks different for everyone. And I think that sometimes artists, all artists, have expectations about where they should be that don't match up with reality. Not because of discrimination necessarily, but because this industry is brutal for everyone. You can see something shift in Ledisi's expression. She sits all the way back in her chair. So you think my lack of mainstream success is because my expectations are too high? Not because of systemic issues, but because I'm just not as marketable as I think I am. Kelly realizes she stepped in it. That's not what I said. Ledisi's voice gets sharper. That's exactly what you said. You just dressed it up nice. You're telling me that maybe I'm not where I think I should be because that's just how it is. Not because the game is rigged. Kelly, you won American Idol. You got handed a platform that most singers spend their entire lives trying to build. You had instant name recognition, instant access, instant opportunity. And yes, you're talented. I'm not taking that away from you. But do not sit here and tell me that my career trajectory is about expectations when you've never had to fight for visibility the way I have. Kelly's face flushes. You can tell she's getting defensive now. I've had my own struggles, Ledisi. The music industry hasn't been easy for me either. I've had to fight my label. I've had to prove myself over and over. Ledisi laughs, and it's not kind. Fighting your label is not the same as being invisible. Kelly, you fought your label from a position of already being famous. I'm fighting to be seen at all. There's a difference. Kelly's voice gets firmer. I understand there's a difference, but I don't think it's fair to minimize what I've been through just because I came from a reality show. I've earned my place. Ledisi nods slowly. And so have I. That's my entire point. I've earned my place 10 times over, but I still don't have it. And instead of you sitting here understanding that, you're defending yourself like I attacked you personally. This isn't about you, Kelly. This is about a system that we're both part of, but that treats us very differently. Kelly straightens up. I think I've been pretty fair in this conversation. I've listened to you. I've validated your feelings. And that word, feelings, sets something off. Ledisi's eyes narrow. My feelings? These aren't feelings, Kelly. This is my career. This is my life's work. This is 20 plus years of being told I'm incredible while simultaneously being passed over. Don't reduce that to feelings. Kelly's getting flustered now. You can see it. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying, I've been trying to have a respectful conversation here. Ledisi stands up slightly. Not fully, but like she's preparing to. Respectful. You brought up the Selma situation, knowing it's a sore spot. You compared me to singers from the past, like I'm some nostalgia act. You told me my expectations might be the problem. That's not respectful. Kelly, that's dismissive. The producers are probably losing their minds right now. This is live television. There's no editing this out. Kelly tries to regain control. Ledisi, I think we're misunderstanding each other. I have nothing but respect for you and your artistry. I think you're incredible. I've said that multiple times. Ledisi sits back down, but barely on the edge of the seat. You think I'm incredible, but when I tell you about the very real barriers I face, you can't fully back me up. You give me the industry line. You give me the safe answer. That's the problem. Everyone wants to compliment black women artists. Everyone wants to say how amazing we are. But when it comes time to actually advocate for us, to actually acknowledge the unfairness, suddenly it's complicated. Suddenly, it's about market forces and expectations and all these other things that conveniently explain away discrimination. Kelly looks at the audience, maybe hoping for some relief, but they're just watching. I don't think it's as black and white as you're making it seem. Ledisi catches that phrase and jumps on it. Black and white. Interesting choice of words. Kelly's eyes widen. That's not. I didn't mean it like that. That's just an expression. Ledisi holds up a hand. I know what you meant, but it's funny how that expression fits here, isn't it? Because that's exactly what this is. It is black and white. There are black women who are exceptionally talented, who don't get the same opportunities as white women with comparable or even less talent. That's not me being divisive. That's me being honest. Kelly's voice gets tight. I think that's a really broad generalization. Ledisi leans forward again. Is it? Let me ask you something. How many black women over the age of 40 do you see dominating pop radio right now? How many are getting the Vegas residencies, the Super Bowl halftime shows, the major brand deals? And before you name Beyoncé, she's the exception, not the rule. One woman at the very top doesn't negate the hundreds of us who are struggling for scraps. Kelly shifts. I think there are opportunities for everyone if they work hard enough. And that's it. That's the thing that breaks it. Ledisi stands up fully now. If they work hard enough, Kelly, I have worked hard my entire life. I've perfected my craft. I've studied. I've sacrificed. I've done everything right. And I'm still here explaining to you why I deserve better. Meanwhile, there are artists who can barely sing who have more success than I'll ever see because they fit the image, because they're marketable, because they're palatable. And you're sitting here telling me it's about hard work? Kelly stands too, trying to de-escalate. Ledisi, please. I don't want this to turn into something it doesn't need to be. Ledisi's voice is shaking now, not with anger, but with exhaustion. It already is something. Kelly, this is what happens when you try to have real conversations about race and opportunity in this industry. People get uncomfortable. They start backtracking. They start making it about individual circumstances instead of systemic problems. I came here to talk about my album, but you wanted to talk about Selma. You wanted to talk about Grammys. You wanted to touch on all the painful stuff, but you didn't want to actually sit in it with me. You wanted me to make you feel better about it. Kelly's voice cracks a little. That's not true. I'm trying to understand your perspective. Ledisi grabs her purse. No, you're trying to debate my perspective. There's a difference. Understanding would mean accepting what I'm telling you without all the buts and the howevers and the other sides. I told you my truth, and you couldn't just let it stand. Kelly's trying to salvage this now. You can see the panic in her eyes. Ledisi, please don't leave. Let's talk through this. I want to understand better. I really do. Ledisi stops, purse in hand, and turns back to face Kelly. For a moment, it looks like she might sit back down. Then she speaks, and her voice is calmer now, which somehow makes it worse. Kelly, do you know what's exhausting? Having to explain your own oppression to people who benefit from the system that oppresses you. Having to make it palatable. Having to manage their feelings while discussing your pain. I've spent my whole career doing that. Smiling, being gracious, being the bigger person, and where has it gotten me? Still fighting for respect. Still explaining why I deserve a seat at the table I've already earned. Kelly's voice is softer now. I get that. I do. And I'm sorry if I made you feel like you had to do that here. Ledisi tilts her head. You're sorry if you made me feel that way. Not you're sorry for making me feel that way. Even your apology has an escape hatch built into it. That's the thing about these conversations. There's always plausible deniability. It's always I didn't mean it like that, or you misunderstood, or I'm sorry you feel that way. Never just, I was wrong. I see it now. Let me do better. The audience is completely frozen. Some people look uncomfortable. Some look like they're really processing what they're hearing. But everyone is locked in. Kelly takes a step closer to Ledisi. You're right. I'm sorry. Not sorry if. Just sorry. I should have listened better. I should have acknowledged what you were saying without trying to fix it or explain it away. Ledisi studies her face. That's a start. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't just about today. This isn't just about our conversation. This is about every interview I've ever done where I'm asked to be grateful instead of ambitious. Every article that calls me a hidden gem like being overlooked is charming instead of unjust. Every time I'm told I have a voice for the jazz clubs when what that really means is you're too black for pop radio. And when I finally say something about it, I become the angry one. I become difficult. I become the problem instead of the person pointing out the problem. Kelly nods, and she looks genuinely emotional now. I can't fully understand what that's like. I won't pretend I can, but I'm hearing you, and I think what you're saying is important. Ledisi's shoulders drop a little. Important enough to air this conversation? Or are your producers already figuring out how to cut around it? Because that's what usually happens. Black women speak up, and it gets edited for time, or it gets reframed, or it just disappears. And then we're right back where we started. Kelly looks toward the crew, then back at Ledisi. I can't make that call in this moment, but I can tell you that I think people need to hear this. Even if it makes me look bad, even if it's uncomfortable. Ledisi lets out a long breath. See, that's the thing though. This shouldn't make you look bad. The fact that you think it might shows how much work we still have to do. You're not the villain here, Kelly. You're just part of a system that doesn't even realize it's a system. You've probably never had to think about why you got certain opportunities and others didn't. Not because you're a bad person, but because you didn't have to. That's privilege. And pointing it out doesn't make me angry or bitter. It makes me aware. Kelly's voice is barely above a whisper now. So, what do I do? What should I have done differently? Ledisi sets her purse down but doesn't sit. You listen without defending. You acknowledge without explaining. When someone tells you about their pain, you don't immediately jump to all the reasons it might not be as bad as they think. You just say, I see you. I hear you. That sounds really hard. And if you can't do anything to change it, you at least don't minimize it. Kelly wipes at her eyes. I can do that. I want to do that. Ledisi's expression softens just a fraction. I believe you want to, but wanting to and actually doing it are different things. Because doing it means risking your own comfort. It means calling out the industry you benefit from. It means potentially losing opportunities because you're speaking up for someone else. And that's scary. I get it, but that's what being an ally actually requires. Kelly nods slowly. You're right, and I haven't done that enough. I've stayed safe. Ledisi picks up her purse again. Most people do. It's easier, but easy doesn't change anything. And I'm tired of easy. I'm tired of performative support that doesn't actually challenge anything. I'm tired of being everyone's favorite underrated artist when what I want is to just be rated. Not over. Just seen for what I am. Kelly reaches out like she might touch Ledisi's arm, but stops herself. For what it's worth, I do see you. Maybe not in all the ways I should have, but I do now. Ledisi looks at her for a long moment. I appreciate that. I really do. But seeing me in this moment, after I've had to fight this hard to make you see, that's not the same as seeing me all along. That's reacting to being called out, not proactively standing up. And until more people in positions like yours start doing the latter, nothing actually changes for people in positions like mine. Kelly's voice breaks a little. I want to be better. Ledisi's face shows something between sadness and resignation. Then be better. Not just with me, not just in this conversation, but everywhere. When you book your show, think about who's not getting booked and why. When you do collaborations, think about who's not getting called and why. When you see another black woman artist getting overlooked, say something. Use your platform. Because that's the thing, Kelly. You have a platform. You have power in this industry. And with that comes responsibility. Kelly straightens up. You're absolutely right. And I commit to doing that. I commit to being more aware, more vocal, more intentional. Ledisi almost smiles, but not quite. I hope you mean that. I really do. Because the industry needs people like you to mean it. We can't dismantle these systems alone. We need people who benefit from them to help take them apart. Otherwise, we're just shouting into the void while everyone else enjoys the concert. There's a beat of silence. Kelly looks like she wants to ask Ledisi to stay, to keep talking, but she can read the room. She can see that Ledisi is done. Not done being professional, not done with her career, but done with this particular conversation. This particular moment of having to educate while exhausted. Kelly's voice is small. I'm sorry this interview went this way. I'm sorry I wasn't better prepared to have this conversation in the way it deserved. Ledisi adjusts the purse on her shoulder. Don't be sorry it went this way. Be glad it did. Because now you know. Now your audience knows. Now we've all had to sit in the discomfort of what it actually means to be a black woman, artist in an industry that loves our voices but not our personhood. That's not a bad thing. That's necessary. Kelly nods. Thank you for being honest with me. For being real, even when it was hard. Ledisi turns toward the exit, then pauses and looks back one more time. Kelly, can I tell you something? You asked earlier what you should do, what being better looks like. Here's the truth. Being better means getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. It means accepting that you're going to mess up, say the wrong thing, miss the point sometimes. But it also means you keep trying anyway. You keep listening. You keep learning. And most importantly, you keep amplifying voices that aren't as loud as yours. Not because it makes you look good, but because it's right. Kelly's crying openly now. I will. I promise, I will. Ledisi gives a small nod. I'm going to hold you to that. And I hope when I come back, if I come back, we can have a different conversation. One where we're building together instead of me having to defend my right to build it all. And with that, Ledisi walks off the stage. Not in anger, not in drama, but in dignity. The audience doesn't know whether to clap or stay silent, so they do both. This weird, scattered applause that dies out quickly. Kelly stands there for a moment, trying to compose herself, trying to figure out how to move forward with the rest of the show. But you can see in her face that something has shifted. Whether that shift leads to real change or just more carefully worded statements remains to be seen. The cameras keep rolling because this is live and there's nowhere to hide. Kelly finally speaks, her voice thick. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a musical performance. But I think we all need a minute to process what just happened here. I know I do. The screen fades to commercial, but the moment doesn't fade. It sits there, heavy and real, forcing everyone watching to confront questions they might have been avoiding. About representation, about opportunity, about who gets to succeed and why. About the cost of speaking up and the cost of staying silent. This is the kind of television you don't forget. Not because it was dramatic for drama's sake, but because it was honest in a way that television rarely is. Two women, two powerhouse vocalists, having the conversation that the industry doesn't want to have. And for at least one afternoon, everyone had to listen. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a comment below telling me this. Do you think Ledisi was right to walk off, or should she have stayed to finish the conversation? Let me know your thoughts.